I'm Pastor Travis from Life Church, and I just want to share a couple of things. And so I want to start with reading about James 3:17 through 18. It says, "But the wisdom from above is first of all pure. It is also peace-loving, gentle at all times, and willing to yield to others. It is full of mercy and the fruit of good deeds. It shows no favoritism and is always sincere. And those who are peacemakers will plant seeds of peace and reap a harvest of righteousness." And so I want to talk to you a minute about James. So James, when he wrote this book, he was writing to the believers. He was writing he was writing out to all of the Jewish believers who believed on Jesus at this point. This is after the resurrection, and James had came on really as a pastor of the leading church of that time in Jerusalem. He was writing this to all of the believers around the world that had gone everywhere. And one of the issues that he'd noticed is that they weren't really portraying Christ the way that Christ had told them to be, right? They weren't living the life for Christ. Even though they were still showing up as Christians and they were going to church and, they're congregating as Christians, they weren't really living all of that. And so really what James is sharing here is he's sharing that the way to interact with the rest of the world is by your actions, by your fruit, right? And so what he's really saying here is that God has the ultimate wisdom. God has the ultimate everything that you need. And if you try and do it on your own, you fall short of all of it. And so what God's saying here is, in order to impact this earth, in order to impact people, you have to use his wisdom, which means you have to put others first. You have to think about others around you. And if you continue to read in James, it continues to share little portions of that exact same thing. And even further than that, and when we read in Mark 7, and you read in Mark 7, it starts in the beginning there, it starts talking about the Pharisees and how they were upset about the disciples because they weren't washing their hands, right? Which is kind of funny now, but they weren't washing their hands, which was Jewish custom at that time. And so the Pharisees were all upset about it. And Jesus replied to them in 7 was, "You hypocrites, Isaiah was right when he prophesied about you, for he wrote, 'These people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me.'" And it just goes to show that the Pharisees might have been right as far as what the law said, but they weren't right with what their hearts should have been saying. With what they should have been seeing is that the individual mattered more than the law. And that coming to the disciples and just coming to them in a loving way and building a character and a relationship with them would have meant a whole lot more than just calling out all their faults. So he's just saying that there's a whole lot more wisdom than just what we think we know. But when we open up our hearts to what God has in store for us and we start listening to what he says, we can use that wisdom and we can actually spread the gospel and we can actually bear fruit that's worthwhile. Fruit that it goes lasting and isn't just temporary. So that's just what I want to share with you today. So thank you.